Katie, why don't you to start off on like what are some of the things that we love about our culture?
Sure. I think one of the things that sticks out the most is that we are very family oriented. Those relationships are just really important to us. So that's a huge love that I have for our culture is our love for family.
Welcome to the Deep Podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Deep. And in this podcast, we talk about everything. We talk about anything. Just like in my last episode, we dive deep into different categories, different subjects. And I also got another guest on here. Before we start, my name is Starr. I'm your host for tonight for the Welcome to the Deep podcast. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to chill. We're going to vibe. We got one of my good friends up in here. So speaking of my friend, we are going to introduce her real quick. And she's hailing all the way from Utah. She is the host of the Polynesian Girl Diaries. So welcome on in, Katie. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm kind of nervous now, now that you say that. This is my first podcast appearance, so it'll be a nice little learning experience.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And if you guys hadn't checked out her podcast already, it is on Spotify. The link will be down below. Check it out. It is called Polynesian Girl Diaries. She talks about a lot of different, categories with like dating, quotes, motivational quotes. Talks about horror movies. Like, there's a lot to go off of. I really do enjoy listening to your podcast, especially when I'm like driving to school and stuff. So I just have it playing, and I learned a lot of stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I do learn a lot. What's going on, podcast people, all you podcast lovers? Today's episode is brought to you by Anchor, the one-stop shop for all your podcasting needs. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, or if you're already a seasoned pro, Anchor is the perfect platform for you. With their user-friendly interface and top-notch features, you can record, edit, and distribute all your podcasts to all the major platforms with just a few clicks. And the best part, it's freaking free. I said that right, it's free. Whether you're a solo host or you have a team of co-hosts, Anchor has got you covered. So what are you waiting for? Let's get it started, baby. Start that podcast, give Anchor a try, and let your voice be heard. So question, just speaking on that real quick, what made you want to start your own podcast?
I'm a podcast junkie myself. I love to listen to podcasts while I'm cleaning the house or just driving around. And I guess once I got started with TikTok, there were some topics that I learned I wanted to elaborate more on. Kind of just took it and ran with it. Everyone was starting podcasts, so I was like, why not? So
Right.
that's where I got it from.
I think it's not, I don't think it's taking the place of music, because typically when you're cleaning house, or music is very like, you use it for a lot of stuff. You use it to get pumped up for sporting events, you use it to calm down, use it to relax, use it to sleep. And I think podcast has become like something similar to music, where you could just put on and relax to, or get informative stuff, or maybe there is a lot of motivational podcasts too, where you can get pumped up too, right?
I agree. Yeah, I think it's a really good way of like being productive, but also your mind is like entertained, I guess, or learning as well.
Right. And it's podcasting been around, and I'm sure you know this. Podcast's been around for a while now, but I think it's booming right now, as far as like the entertainment side of technology, or social media and all that stuff. Like, there's so much, like you said, there's so much people that has their own podcast now, and about totally different things. I had the same mindset as you, like, as far as starting a podcast, and like everybody is doing it now. Well, a lot of people are doing it now, so I was like, why not? I have conversations with like friends and stuff all the time, where I'm like, damn, that would have been good on a podcast. Right? Do you have those moments too?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, just to put it into context, I don't think I really grew up around like hearing many Polynesians with podcasts. So I think it's like really exciting to be able to. I've seen a couple of Polynesian podcasts. So I think it's just a really exciting time to know that there are other Polynesians that are out there that are going through similar experiences, you can just not feel so alone. So I think that was a big appeal the fact, because initially my podcast was Brown Girl Diaries, and then I wanted it to be more pointed to the Polynesian, I guess,
Community.
audience. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. To know that, there are people that are out there that are going through what you're going through. So,
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. And we'll get into, our Polynesian Pacific Islander culture a little later. But I just want to give a shout out to all you viewers out there on YouTube. If you guys are watching, I appreciate you guys coming through. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then hit the notification button so that you don't miss any episode that comes out. Again, we drop a new episode every Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment, give us your thoughts, your critiques, constructive criticism on whatever subject that we talked about. Where we just have fun, we just vibe, we just talk about different subjects. And speaking of subjects, what we're going to talk about throughout the episode is we're going to touch base on the Pacific Islander culture, specifically Samoan, because that's what we are, both of us, right? And then we're gonna get into relationships and dating. It's a good a lot of people, a lot of podcasts like to talk about relationship dating. What should you look out for when you're going on a date? What should you ask and all that stuff? And then we're gonna get into one of Katie's favorite subjects. We're gonna get into some horror movies.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I am the opposite. I don't like watching horror movies.
fair.
But yeah, so we were just talking about the Polynesian culture, Pacific Island culture. Just so you guys know, I do want to point out that when we say Polynesian, that's just like what a lot of the world knows this Pacific Island their culture is Polynesian, because there's a lot of people that's from the Polynesian Islands are out in the United States and different worlds. But then what people don't know is there's three parts of the Pacific Ocean, and that's the Polynesian Islands, the Melanesian Islands, and the Micronesian Islands. And all of them, all three, consist of the whole Pacific Islander culture. So I just thought I'd touch up on that real quick. And us being Samoan, we are Polynesian, so that's why you'll probably notice that we'll be saying Polynesian a lot. Katie, I want you to start off on like what are some of the things that we love about our culture?
Sure. I think one of the things that sticks out the most is that we are very family oriented. We love our families. We usually have large families. So I often look at it as, at least from what I've observed, a lot of Balangis, they tend to see their friends as their family. But I think that a lot of times Polynesians view their family members as friends. Those relationships are just really important to us. So that's a huge love that I have for our culture, is our love for family.
What do you mean? What do you mean by like? Maybe you can elaborate on like what do you mean that like us Samoan people see our family as our friends? Like,
I think that we tend to prioritize our family relationships over our friend relationships. I think that's what I mean.
it's like they're our family too, but it's like they're our best friends.
Exactly.
Okay, now
Yeah.
I understand. One thing I do want to bring up too is like one of the things that I do love about our culture, but I also like don't like it, but I'm gonna say it anyway, is our
Mhm.
pride. Our pride
Exactly.
is pride is something else, man. Like, if you guys are listening and you're a very prideful person, or if you know somebody's very prideful in what they do, how they hold themselves, it's sometimes it can come off as intimidating, but it's really being proud of who they are, where they come from, what they represent. And I think us in our Samoan culture, especially, I know a lot of the other islander cultures kind of can relate to it, but I don't want to speak on their culture. We are very proud of where we come from, and we show that in a representation throughout everything, a lot of aspects in life. And there's a lot of what sports athletes out there that's in the professional field that really represent our culture, and I'm so happy that they do it. And then there's some in the entertainment business as far as like singing, dancing, acting. I mean, the biggest influencer is The Rock. I mean, and he's only half Samoan, and he represents our culture like so much, and that shows how much pride that he has for our culture. And like, would you agree that like I do love that about our culture, but then sometimes it kind of gets in the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess that kind of ties into my next point of what I love so much is our love for community. Like if you see another Samoan, like it's just the trust is a lot easier to gain because they're like me, they're very similar to me, and maybe sometimes that's an assumption, but for the most part, I think it's really great to feel that instant connection just because you are an islander.
Right, right. And there is, and if you guys are listening, that's totally true. Like, you see another Pacific Islander, even if they're not Samoan, if they're Hawaiian, Tongan, Fijian, like
Oh,
they're gonna you're gonna say hi to them regardless. But I do gotta point out because I don't know if you had any experience. You can let me know if you did or not. There was some times that I don't know if they were ashamed or they just didn't think I was Polynesian. They just never acknowledged. Like they looked at me. I know they saw me, but then they just keep doing their own thing. And I'm like, man, you didn't want to say hi to me, like you know what I mean?
it's especially prevalent, I feel like, in settings. I think I get more offended when they don't acknowledge me, when it's like a setting full of people that don't look like you. And then you're like, yo, we're polys. Like, and so it's not always the case that they're like, hey, what's up? Like, so it's interesting, but I feel like it's more offensive when they don't do that in a setting where it's like no one looks like you.
Right? No, same. I don't want to say I get like fully offended. I just get a little offended, and then
Yeah,
because then I also understand that like maybe their personality is not very outgoing as like mine
true.
is.
Mm,
So like, is there
fair.
are you? Because then you said that like you get a little offended. Do you make it known, like, or do you go up to them? Do you even say it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely not, unless I feel inclined to be like, yo, I want to talk to that person. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, okay, it's all right. Like, we're just doing it out here. That's great that you're here and I'm here.
So what if they're thinking the same thing that you're thinking? Like, oh, I'm so offended. This Samoan girl, this Polynesian girl, didn't say hi to me.
That's a fair point. In that case, I guess it's a lost cause.
No, yeah. I mean, at that point, it is what it is. And I know. For me, I'm in Arizona right now, and I'll see like because I was born and raised in Hawaii, and yes, I am Samoan. I was raised in a Samoan culture, but I was also raised in the Hawaiian culture in Hawaii because that's where I was born and raised. And so I have an understanding of both, and there's a lot of similarities. So whenever I take Hawaii so prideful, like because that's where I'm from, and I see people when they're driving by and they have the Hawaii sticker. I'm like, I always pull up and I'm like, throw the shotgun, hey, what's up?
Oh,
And
I
and
love it.
and then they look at me like, hi. I'm like, bro, what? I'm from Hawaii. I'm shocking at you, cuz like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like what you said earlier, like, come on, man, we look the same on this road right now. There's no other people on here that has a Hawaii sticker.
That's so funny. I got this like shaka decal that's on my car, and we were driving. My best friend and I were driving, and then there was this van that was beside us, and it was a family. So there were kids in the back, the parents were in the front, and we were driving by, and then all of a sudden, they just started waving at us. They started waving and doing the shaka, and it was the cutest thing. It made me laugh.
Did you?
That's the car you needed to be saying. Oh wait, no, that's my car. Never mind.
Oh, that was your.
Please delete that.
But yeah, no, you're not wrong. That's the car that I need to be seeing on the road where they're like,
Seriously.
"Hey, what's up, man?" But no, yeah, they're probably like intimidated or whatever. Because I don't know. Apparently, I'm very intimidating looking. I don't get it, but
Darn, that's unfortunate.
no, yeah, like I was just telling my one of my friends the other day, like I don't know why some people like they admitted to me too, like after we've gotten to know each other just as friends or whatever. They like he was very intimidating. Like I didn't want to talk to you because I was scared. I was like, what do you mean you were scared? Like, I don't know. You just look intimidating. Like you're a big dude or
Hey,
whatever.
you seem so friendly. I
No,
wouldn't have thought.
exactly. But maybe sometimes like when I have like resting bitch face. It's not like, I don't know. Plus, I got a full on beard. My hair is a little wild. That's why I wear hats and
Mm,
stuff. I don't know. But that ties into being a Pacific Islander. A lot of us Islanders are huge. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing that I do love about our culture is that we're very unique in our own way. And some may say that like other islanders are big as well, or this type of looking. Some what I do like is a lot of people love our hair, especially the female hairs. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like the long curls or waviness and like thickness of the hair. Like I've always had like people like say like I'm so jealous of your sister's hair or Polynesian girl hair in general. You know what I mean? Have you gotten any like compliments on hair or whatever?
Definitely. I always feel like it's like the equivalent to Balinese getting compliments on their eyes. That's how I equate it to.
Oh, good point. Good point. Let's move on to some of our challenges in our islander culture. And I know if you are Polynesian, you guys are listening to this, you probably be like, "Oh, I know a lot of challenges," because I know there's some challenges and within the culture, within the people, and all that stuff. But I think a lot of the challenges that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, it's fine. I think it ties into a lot of our people staying stuck in the past, especially with like the Fala Velaves or any cultural aspect of how we do things. I've come to some kind of point where like, yeah, I am talking to my mom about this where like mom, this is, I understand the culture, we have to do it this way or that way or whatever, and that's how it was done back in the days, but this is a new world now, you know what I mean, where we're in a new economic world where, or what, I don't know how to explain it, but we're just in a new generation now where things are different. And we could try and do things a certain way or try and believe things a certain way, but it's just, it is what it is. And it just feels like sometimes that my parents or whoever the elders I'm talking to is just stuck in the past. You know what I mean?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Have you had any I mean, if you want, if do you have any stories of like maybe situations like that?
I'm just trying to think of someone that's very stuck in that way, and I'd probably say it's my grandma. She's very much that way, and so it's hard for me to express newer ideas to her because she is older and she is very set in her mindset about certain things, especially cultural. Sorry, I'm being super vague,
No, 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 you're good. Don't worry about it.
but she is the person that I thought about exactly when you were talking.
No, yeah, and it's tough because our generation and then even the newer ones, like they're stuck in this predicament and we're like, this is what I'm learning in the world, and but this is what you're teaching me and how we used to do it back in the days, which like what do I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um Especially with like, I know we was talking about Fala Velaves. That's a big, I think it's a big issue now more than it was back then. With the old timers, they're trying to stick to what it was back then and how it's supposed to be done and no questions asked. This is the way you're supposed to do it, but they don't realize that like, this generation now, there's so much going on in life now that like if we can help, then we can help. You know what I mean? If we can't meet the deadline to I don't know, put in some money or whatever it is, donating something, then you know what I mean? Like you don't have to make us feel bad. I think that's the biggest part is where these the older generations our elders and stuff, they make us feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's not very much understanding on their part, which can ruin, has the potential to ruin relationships, I think, a lot of times.
No, and it sucks. And I feel like to feed up on ruining relationships, like they'll turn around later and be like, oh, sorry. You know what I mean? Sorry that I did that. You're still my nephew. You're still my son. Like nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like especially with Falave Laves, it went away with the whole meaning behind it. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like what us generation now, and we're growing to have our own families, and then yes, we understand the Fa Love Love is our part that we have to play, but one, don't make us feel bad, and two, it's come to that point where like once we hear that word Fa Love Love, it's like automatically a negative thing.
Yeah, you already get stressed.
Exactly. So how did it come from a good thing where respect was in there, you know what I mean, where people wanted to do that, to like now where once we just even think of the word, it's like, oh, stress. You know what I mean? And I
Absolutely.
think it's because, all of that, the bad stress that they tack on top of that word, and when they're calling us and like, no, you have to do this, making us feel bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of obligation tied to it, and that doesn't help the situation. A lot of times when these do occur, when the fall of love is occur, it's like stressful as it is, and then the fact that they're like hounding you about it doesn't help anyone.
No, yeah, for sure. What do you think some of the, because we talked about what we love about our culture, what do you think are other challenges in our Pacific Island culture?
Yeah, I mentioned this on an earlier TikTok that I posted, and it was talking about how individualism can be difficult in our culture. I think a lot of times, since we are, generally speaking, a very group oriented people, kind of believing that, our village, I think there's a saying behind it, like the village raises the kid or whatever.
Right.
I think it's hard to thrive as someone who wants to be a little more independent as you get older, in that, like, if you're not in the normal bounds of what a islander is stereotypically, then you're considered like weird, or you're just different because you didn't choose a path that maybe all the other islanders take. So I think that can be a challenge. At least I've experienced that myself.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And we could also say that one of our other biggest challenges is other islanders saying that other islanders are not islanders, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's use you for example, right? Another Samoan, they're gonna say where you're from, and you're gonna, oh, I don't know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you probably say like, oh, I'm from Alaska, was raised there, or no? Do you say that you're from Samoa?
I say I was born in Samoa, but yeah, raised in Alaska.
Okay. So even with that though, like some Samoans that was born and raised throughout their whole life in in Samoa, they'll say like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're not a real Samoan." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what? She has the blood, or he has the blood. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are they not Samoan? And they're like, "Oh, you don't know how to speak the language. You weren't raised there in the culture." Da da da. I'm like, my parents taught me the culture. You know, even
Yeah.
and I've gotten that because I was in Hawaii. They would call me Palangi. I'm like, bro, I'm not Palangi. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think people, when they do that, when they put people into that category that way, like, you're really just doing yourself a disservice as well as your community, because you're nitpicking like who can be someone when you don't have the authority to do that, really.
Exactly.
It's silly to me.
No, yeah, I totally think it's silly. And it was like a big thing on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like, right?
Yeah.
It was a huge thing on TikTok. And then we had like some people come in and like reply to certain people's videos. And they, who did they do it on? They did it on The Rock. Like,
Oh, geez. I haven't seen
you haven't
that.
seen now? So like,
No, I haven't.
I think it was the Black Adam red carpet what is that called?
Oh, with
Preview.
Drew?
Yes. And a lot of people was talking smack that like, oh, look at The Rock. He didn't even like, he looked so confused. You know what I mean? He didn't even know what to say to this someone girl. They didn't know that because I found out that The Rock actually said I think he said talofa to her, like, but it was very quiet. They didn't hear it on the mic. So
Mm,
you know what I mean? He responded, and then he does what every Polynesian do when they meet a new Polynesian. Oh, where you from? What's your last name? That's exactly what he said. You know what I mean? And I think Drew didn't even. I think I forgot. I don't know if she's made a video or not, but I know that she didn't even mind the interview. Like, she didn't see no offense that
he
he
seemed
was
really excited that
exactly.
yeah,
And then there was
I would be
people,
too.
yeah. And then there was people on TikTok making videos that like, oh, The Rock is not real Samoan. He didn't, he got confused when she said something in Samoan to him, and like, bro, of course he's gonna be confused. He wasn't raised in the language, but he was raised in the culture.
Yikes.
So, and then you had like, I think you had like other people from New Zealand that does speak the language. They were like, so a lot of people was like backing him up, and then other videos started coming out where, how do you down another Samoan for not speaking the language and making fun of that person when you could just help them? You know what I'm saying? Like help them, teach them some of the language if they really want to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be part of the solution if you're
Exactly.
so willing to critique.
Exactly. And I think that's what my 2 episodes ago when I had Ken on here, he's another Samoan. That was one thing that he said. He said there's only so much that he could do to help these kids, growing up and all that stuff, but he's just trying to be a part of the solution, not be a problem.
Right.
Yeah, so another big thing on our culture is religion. And we have two different religions here. I know you grew up Mormon, right?
I did.
You grew up Mormon, I grew up Catholic, and that's like the two biggest
Oh,
that's the two biggest
okay.
religious faction, I guess you can call it, in the Samoan culture, in the Pacific Island culture. And for me, I still practice, I still have my beliefs and all that stuff. But I do understand that you had a little journey throughout your Mormon life, I guess. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
Yeah, basically, I kind of just, I don't want to say lost my faith because I feel like I actively chose to stop being a part of that lifestyle, but I'm not living the same way that I was growing up because Mormonism is, it's a lifestyle. I mean, any religion really is. So finding what works for me, basically, and that's kind of hard.
You have a few examples of what Mormonism is, like what do you guys do? What separates being Mormon compared to like a Catholic or Christian?
Absolutely. So basically, Mormons believe that they're the only religion, they're the end all be all. So if you're not Mormon, then damnation for you, I guess. But basically, we believe in all the Christian values, no sex before marriage. Um, Modesty is huge in the Mormon religion. So is your language, no coffee. There's something called the word of wisdom where you basically are not supposed to have any coffee, or I think there's certain teas that are prohibited as well. But it's pretty strict in terms of the way that your life is supposed to be. So oftentimes it seems like there needs to be this cookie cutter type of outlook for what your life or what you need to be.
I mean, that's just crazy to me. Because I understand that Mormonism is very strict because I have family that are Mormon. It's I feel like half, maybe I think it's like a 70-30. Like 30% of my families is Mormon, and then 70% of my families is Catholic. But it's I think Catholicism is very similar as far as like the strictness behind certain things that you can and cannot do and stuff like that. But I feel like Mormonism is a lot more strict on the strict side with
Yeah,
with specific things that you can't do.
right. Oh, and of course, no alcohol
Yeah.
either, or drugs of any kind. I don't know if that's like, are you guys allowed to drink as Catholics?
I mean, yeah, we're allowed to. I think there's no like rule that we can't.
Oh, okay.
I know our biggest thing is staying abstinence. That's like our one of our biggest
No,
ones. Um
definitely.
Abstinence. And if you guys don't know what abstinence is, it's basically just not having intercourse, sexual intercourse until you guys get married. So, because that's the same thing with Mormonism, right?
Yes, yes.
I know for Catholicism, we are very big on the religious holidays. We're very strict on those. I mean, like, I know we're in Lent season right now, and it's not really
Mm.
strict, but then it's like they kind of like egg you on to practice it. If you guys don't know what Lent is, so Lent is just basically 40 days. We either give up something or we add something to our life that benefits us. Either making our relationship with our Lord, Jesus Christ, building our relationship together, or in the in the practices or whatever. So like, or just some, the common things that a lot of people do is they give up something to eat, like they'll give up rice or they give up, salty foods or whatever, just to help benefit their life. But the whole meaning behind it is to get a closer relationship with God or Jesus Christ. So that's because if you guys don't know, the 40 days, story in the Bible is, you can correct me if I get this wrong, but Jesus was out in the desert for 40 days with no food and no water, all that stuff, and then he has an encounter with, the devil and all that stuff, tempting him with temptations and stuff like that. So that's where the whole Lent season comes behind, at least with our Catholic religion.
Are you currently are you participating in that currently, or
Yeah.
have you in the past? Oh, nice.
Yeah, so usually what I do is I'll give up something to, soda, give up swearing, give up, some small stupid stuff that like could benefit me in the long run. But because actually one year I gave up soda one year, and I barely drink soda now. I'd probably drink like Sprite or Sierra Mist for like when I'm sick, but I don't ever drink soda ever. So like that helps me in my health wise. You know what
Nice.
I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Other things like give up rice, a lot of stuff, a lot of things that I did give up had to do like, with food. And then, I went to church this past Wednesday when not this past Wednesday, but when Lent season had started. And, the priest reiterated about, the whole meaning behind Lenten season and all that stuff. And like it's try to do something to like help build your faith up more than what it is, or build your relationship with Jesus Christ, or and God. And so I was really thinking about that, and what I decided to do was, because I don't ever do this, I mean, I pray before food, before eating my food and all that stuff. I pray if somebody needs praying for, if they're sick and all that stuff. So I pray, but I never pray on the side of my bed before I go to sleep. And so I decided, okay, let me do that. I'll pray before I go to bed and before I close my eyes. It's something that I feel like, I do need to pray more. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Whenever I go to church and, I say a little prayer at church, I'll ask for forgiveness for not praying as much. And so I figured,
Or you'll just like sit in bed and just pray.
right, exactly. Is there anything that like, because I know you pray too. Is there any time when you did pray, did you feel bad about something?
while I'm while I'm praying.
Yeah.
It would be those moments where I'm just too lazy to get on my knees and I'm just like, God, please. Just I'm so tired right now. Yeah. Probably in those moments, if anything.
So with as we end this topic about religion, you tell me a little bit of your thoughts and how religion plays a huge part in the Samoan culture, especially.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us are religious. I mean, even if you go back to Samoa, isn't there like a church bell that rings for prayer time and then you're supposed to like stop whatever you're doing? I don't know. It's a very big part of being Samoan, and it's really difficult to, if you're not as religious, to kind of navigate your way out or even have conversations where that's even a thing. Can't speak on it other than it's huge.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any, I guess, regrets or remorse or whatever of, I guess, going away with the Mormonism? Because I think in one of your podcasts you were saying that like, you are a little happier now or whatever when you're, not practicing and all that stuff.
Do I have any regrets leaving it?
Yeah.
There are times here and there where I talk with my mom, and I know that she's super strong in Mormonism, and I think there's times where I just feel guilty that I'm not as committed to that, and I don't think she really knows the extent of which I've gone away. So there's times where I'm like, man, maybe I should go back to church and be this person that I think my mom wants me to be. But as far as that goes, I don't. Like you said, I'm much happier. And even though it's difficult to really figure out what I do believe, I would much rather go this way than where I was before.
Understandable, understandable. And do you still have faith? Do you still believe in Jesus Christ or God?
Currently, I've kind of moved away from those. I'm more like I don't know that I believe that religion really is a path for me. So that's where I'm diving into.
Right.
But I'm also like open to other, like learning about other religions, which has just opened my mind a lot because it's like you believed in Mormonism. Why couldn't you believe in Buddhism or Catechism? You know,
Right.
there's so much to learn, I think.
I always, I've talked about this a few times to a couple of my friends who are Mormon and who's also Catholic and in Christian, and then there's a couple other religions out there too. But I I've come to the point, and if mom, if you're listening to this and you're watching, don't take it the wrong way, but I just feel like if I don't practice the Catholicism that I grew up in, that doesn't mean I don't believe in Jesus Christ or God. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if I don't do Lent season, if I don't practice a certain thing, like say even if I'm Mormon, if I don't do any of those practices and I still believe in Jesus Christ and God and I pray, like I don't see a problem with it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't have to practice to have my beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're kind of moving away from organized religion.
Well, I don't want to say that I am moving away, but I've grown to not feel guilty about it. Like
Hmm.
if my wife goes to church, because my wife is like she's stuck, not stuck. I don't want to say stuck. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back. She is not stuck, but she is very strong in the practice part of Catholicism and stuff like that. She's very old school too. And
Mhm.
whenever she go to church or whatever, I used to feel so guilty and be like, oh man, I miss church. You know what I mean? But that doesn't.
Yeah.
But I realized over time that it didn't hinder my belief. So it's like I
Okay.
still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ. I still believe that they do these things. You know what I mean? Even though I miss church, you know what I mean? So over time I realized that yeah, it may affect my relationship with God or whatever, and I have fallen back on praying, but I still 100% believe in God and believe in Jesus Christ. So I was like, okay, it didn't really hinder my belief, so I shouldn't feel guilty. You know what I mean?
Nice. Sounds like you found something that works for you, which I think is just key into beliefs. Just like I'm very respectful of the fact that like a lot of my family members are still active. Like it's not that I'm trying to like tear anyone down. It's like do what makes you happy, do what makes you, I
Right,
guess.
right. Whatever floats your boat. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to our next subject, and it's relationships and dating, and that's a big topic, a big subject. Hopefully, it won't take too much time, but whatever time it takes, we're gonna talk about it. So, dating. Give me a little, I guess, status on what your dating life is, if you don't mind.
Oh goodness, it's a mess. Kidding. Currently I mean I was casually dating for a little bit, but now I'm just kind of focused on me, and it sounds so cliche where you're just like, yeah, I'm just kind of working on myself. I feel like you can say that a lot of times, like or working on yourself. You can spend so much time working on yourself, but yeah, right now I'm just really enjoying my singleness. Like I said, I was casually dating for a little bit, but decided to really kind of just take a step back and focus on what I want to do with my life and whatever that entails. So
what is
a little
what
bit.
is casual dating? Because
Oh goodness.
I don't know. I'm very. I mean, granted, I am locked down, and I've been with my wife
Yeah.
for the past 11, 12 years. So I don't know terminologies, but I do know that dating is dating. I don't know what casual dating is, or I don't know what serious dating is. I don't. You know what I mean? So explain to me what casual dating is.
It's fair. And I recently learned this because I was like, I didn't know the difference either. But apparently, casual dating is when you're maybe going on a couple of dates with a person like every now and then, or like you're basically going out with the person, but there's no commitment yet. Like you're openly seeing other people too. It's not that you're boyfriend and girlfriend, you're just going on dates here and there without the title. You're still figuring out whether or not you want to be in a relationship with one another.
I feel like I
That
feel
makes
like
sense.
that's an issue, a big issue of why people can't find people, because like if you're gonna date somebody, like focus on that person so you know that this is, that's the right person in the long run, hopefully. If not, then okay, move on to the next person. But if you're casually dating, right, like you said, you openly seeing other people, whatever, I feel like you're just confusing yourself, like, oh, I don't know if I like this guy more or like this girl more, you know what I mean?
It's very true. Yeah. Yeah. You can ask my sisters or my friends whenever I tell them about a particular person. And they're like, wait a minute. I'm confused. Which guy is this? Yeah. It can get a little messy. Um, but I think what they're trying to do with that is like not to put all your eggs in one basket, which is nice, because then when things don't work out with this guy, then you could be like, okay, I want to see where things progress with this guy. And obviously, this is like you're not you're not being that intimate with them every single time, so it's a little easier if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes sense, and that's also another issue with dating nowadays. It works too fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of a lot of and I'm very not proud of this, but a lot of guys just want to get in the pants, or a lot of girls just want the guy for the money, and you know what I mean. It's and I'm don't judge me. I'm just pointing out some things that's been happening, but I think that's what's gone away with the traditional dating. I think traditional dating works a lot better than casual, or if there is any other type of dating or whatever. Actually, you know what? There is what I put on here, online dating. So with dating apps, and I think going away from the traditional dating, where yeah, I understand where you don't want to put in all your eggs in one pile at once, but that's where a lot of people don't understand that, having healthy boundaries up. That way, okay, I could let one egg out, two eggs out, three eggs out, but I still have majority of my eggs, so I'm not overly doing it. But at the same time, still focusing on this one person, because if it hits off, it hits off. If not, then you guys go your separate ways on a good note. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like that's also the problem with dating apps as well, because you're matching with all these people, you're messaging back and forth, and it's really hard to just focus on one person when you're talking to a bunch. So,
Exactly. I know in one of your episodes of your podcast, you talked about dating apps. Tell us a little bit of your experience on dating apps, and if you want to specify what app worked or what didn't work, go ahead.
oh man. Uh, yeah, I'm not currently on dating apps, but when I was on dating apps, there are quite a few things that you pick up on while you're on them, whether it's generally speaking what people would put in their bios or the type of messages you like or don't like. The platform in general, I almost want to say though that yes, dating apps, meeting people on dating apps is like one way. I almost don't want to say that there's a difference between meeting people in real life, because it's almost like you're still having to figure out who they are or what annoys you about them. Like it's almost the same. It's like you can filter them out about whether they just want one thing or not. Basically what I'm saying, sorry, is like even if I were like met someone at the grocery store, who's to say that they just want don't want anything serious, like they just want ass? Like me personally, I don't really see that I've really seen a difference between meeting someone on a dating app versus meeting them at the store. I've seen that like mutual friends kind of helps, but other than that, it's kind of the same.
I think mutual friends does help a lot in the dating aspect, because there's a little sense of trust already built.
Yeah.
Um, but I do understand where you're coming from as far as like not seeing a difference. I think the only difference is it takes out that social anxiety that you have face to face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people, are
True.
not, yeah, a lot of people are not social face to face. They don't like to talk in person. They'll freeze up or whatever. Compared to if you're on the phone, it's easier to type out how you feel.
I agree. Which it's so funny because there was this YouTube video that I was watching and it had, oh my goodness, I'm spacing on all the names, but she was interviewing this guy and he's a dating coach, and he was talking about how dating apps versus, regular or old-fashioned dating apps enable us to be like, he's like, yeah, the guy could just hit you up and be texting you, but you don't know what his breath smells like. You don't know what his teeth conditions are. You don't know if he's wearing like, yeah, just
I
there's
mean,
just an element of like,
yeah, no, in that aspect, yeah. I
you
mean,
don't know if he showered.
right, exactly. And so that is an issue, you know what I mean? That is an issue because but at the same time, if that person does have bad breath but has like this amazing personality, that kind of like
Right.
that's where the dating app kind of helps them on that aspect. You know what I mean?
Yes. It can come off as very pretentious though as well, because like you're displaying your life. Like it's almost kind of like social media though too. You're displaying what you want people to see about you, or only
No,
your
yeah.
attractive bits. So
Yeah.
it's very one-sided, I think.
No, yeah, for sure, for sure. And I feel like that ties into another issue with dating apps is you get to pick and choose what you tell people. You know what I mean?
Mm.
When you're dating in real life, or if you meet somebody in real life, you kind of can almost pick up, I don't want to say negative things, but the less attractive parts of that person. Maybe if you meet this person and you can kind of tell that this person is very indecisive, and then if that's something that you don't like, then you caught it already. Instead of meeting him on an app, the person's not going to say that he's indecisive. The person's not going to say that he's not responsible with his decisions, or you know what I'm saying. So there's pros and cons for both, IRL dating or
Hmm.
meeting people in IRL or meeting people on dating apps. But I think, tell me if you agree with me. I think these dating apps kind of got so sexualized, like to the point where it's basically a hookup app. You know what I'm saying?
Very much so. You'll get people that like shame you for being on the app for looking for a relationship. And I was like, is this not a dating app? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. But don't let people make you feel bad for looking for a relationship on a dating app. Like,
I mean, prime example, Tinder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Tinder is a dating app, but it was so, it went overboard to where like people would make jokes about it, or if somebody says that they met this person on Tinder, like, oh, you guys hooked up?
there's
Like,
a automatic judgment.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
exactly. Exactly. But I think that comes along with just this world in general and how people can just become so judgmental like automatically, and being judgmental does not help any of the parties at all.
Nope.
If you're the person that's being judgmental, then that it shows people the type of person you are, and then nobody's gonna want to be around you, and then that's not gonna be good. So
Exactly. 100%.
when we're talking about dating, right? And whether or not it's on a dating app, or if it's you meet a person in real life or whatever, but just one of the things, like, I'm going to give you guys some advice. One of the things that I've always give advice to with when people are going on dates or whatever, or trying to find the right person, like, you have to base it off of common interests. So when you ask questions, right, and I'm going to ask you this in a second, Katie, when you go on a date and you're thinking about what type of questions that you want to ask, base it off of your interests. Maybe get to know the person first, and then when you ask more questions, ask them about their interests, ask them about their things that they like to do, and then maybe they'll elaborate on it, and then you can pick and find things that, like, oh, I like that too, and then boom, then you're a little bit more interested, and then you find another thing that you guys have common interest in, and boom, you're a little bit more interested in. And yes, it is a little bit of a grind, if you want to call it, trying to, and it does get, what do you call it? It does get exhausting, but holding a relationship and then eventually getting into a marriage and all that stuff, that's exhausting too. That's the rest of your guy's life. So finding a person to date or whatever, you got to make sure that it lines up with you, And then if you don't find anything, then you know that that might not be the person, and then you don't have to waste any more of your time or that person's time. What are some things that you also want to ask too, if on your perspective, any advice, like what kind of questions should you ask on a date and all that stuff?
Oh man, I am naturally a curious person, so I like to ask a lot of questions. I think that it's important to get to know your person thoroughly. And I know that there's different ways in which you can get to know a person, so it's not going to come through just asking, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite music to listen to, but that really does come with time, but I think an important element of relationships and dating is being friends. I think that's a really important foundation to base a relationship off of because it's so much easier to work things out when you're friends versus when you really couldn't give a shit about this person. Like it's easier to walk away if you don't have that foundation of friendship.
And that's with any type of relationship. And when we are specifically talking about finding that person in a relationship, but this plays into every relationship, your relationship with your friends, your family members, your sisters, your brothers, your siblings, your cousins. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously, when you're dating, it's a little bit more, but you could apply the same things to your relationships with your family members and your friends and stuff like that too. But I want to say this, and then I would like for you to elaborate more on it. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that when they get into dating and then they start asking questions and all that stuff, and yes, you try to find common interests and all that stuff, but it's not always going to be perfect, right? So my biggest thing is when I tell people to go date and stuff, be realistic. You know what I mean? Have a sense of realism when you go dating, and not expecting that this person might be your knight in shining armor or be Superman or be Superwoman. You know what I mean? Like everybody has their flaws, nobody's gonna be perfect. So just because this person has one thing but everything else you love, you're not gonna date them. Like, bro, you that's kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Do you think that's an issue? And I don't want to put you in a spot, but do you think that's an issue more on the female side when they're dating, or more on the male side of dating, like not being realistic when trying to find somebody?
I guess I can only speak on the female side, but I've definitely seen that within my own personal experience where I expect them to be on their A game, really. In all honesty, I think for me, I try not to expect anything out of anyone that I don't expect for myself. Don't expect things of others that you don't expect of yourself or can provide,
It kind of
basically.
it kind of reminds me of what Ice Cube said, right? Was it Ice Cube? Yeah, Ice Cube said, "Man, hey, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, man." That's really what it is, man.
Lies.
um, yeah, just being realistic, man. Yeah, have a lot of optimism. Be optimistic about finding love or finding that person, but also have like what I had in my other episode. The balance between realism and optimism. It's good to have both, with any aspect in life, and I think it plays a big part into relationships and dating. So we're gonna go into two of these top five things I want to ask you, and hopefully you're ready for it. But what is the top five things that you look for in a person?
Great questions. The first one is probably that they're my best friend. That's important. The second one is these are going to sound so basic, but sadly, it's not something that people can offer these days. So I'm going to go with respect, loyalty, consistency, and then good communication.
Okay, so number one was what again?
Best friend.
So does that mean like they have to be best friends with you first, or you just have that best friend vibe going from the jump?
Best friend vibe from the jump.
I got
Yeah,
you.
just even the potential of becoming like that is someone that I get along really well with. We could really hit it off.
I feel that. I feel that. So that's number
Yeah.
one. Number two is respect. Number three is
I think I said consistency.
I forgot
Well, loyalty.
loyalty, and then four and five you said it pretty fast.
consistency, and then the last one was holy moly. I'm the worst memory.
No, it's okay. It's all good. It's all good. People could just rewind it anyway. But yeah, we'll move on to the next top five. What's your top five dating tips? Whether it be IRL or dating apps, it don't matter.
Okay, the first one would be you have shared values. I think you touched on this earlier. Well, shared interests, but values, I think I would put in that category as well, because attraction is one thing, but compatibility is a whole nother thing. And I think shared values comes with being compatible. The second one would kind of be to ensure that there is some type of foundation for your relationship. Personally, I'd say that would be friendship, because that will help in a lot of aspects while you're dating. The third piece of advice I would say is to continue to date your person. It's not just a means of the finish line, where whether you see that as marrying them or courting them as your significant other, but I think it's important to continue to learn and love your person wholeheartedly. Fourth one is to be patient. I think a lot of times it's hard, especially maybe if you live with your partner or spend a lot of time with them. It can be easy to take them for granted, and patience is really, really needed. Last piece of advice is to have fun. Whatever that looks like for you guys, everyone's dynamic is different. Also, just a reminder to have fun while you're dating. A lot of times it can be really stressful or just seemingly pointless, but I'm sure that we all find our people eventually.
No, yeah, no, that's a great tips on dating, and that's whether or not it's on a dating app or IRL, or if you met them from a family friend or another family member. You know, it's very universal. You know what I mean? It's a tip
Mm-hmm.
for male, females, and then if you do are like I don't know, transgender, or you know, a part of another the LGBTQ community as well. All dating is very universal as far as dating tips and what you said. I think for me, like one of my biggest advice when you do go out and date is, I'm going back to being realistic. Like, don't judge the book by the cover. You know what I mean? Like, attractiveness is a big part to it, but the person that you may be the most attracted to may not be the best person for you. And that's where the rest of the whole dating aspect comes into play, where you find common interests, you find common core values, and then if you can have fun with this person, if this person is your best friend, because if you ask any married person, they're gonna say their best friend is their spouse, and that's how it's supposed to be. But yeah, so that's our little take on relationships and dating. You know, if you guys disagree with anything, go ahead and leave it in the comments and then tell us your little spill. Also, in the comments, let me know. I want to know what your guys' take on dating and relationships are. Have you guys had any troubles with dating? Was there something that stood out that did help you out in the long run and all that stuff? And if so, did you guys get married, or are you guys working on that? Yeah, just let me know in the comments. You know, again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure the notifications are on. If you're on Spotify, there is questions below that you guys can answer. Feel free to leave a review on this podcast episode or just on the whole show. It is out of 5 stars. It would definitely help me out if you guys rate the show. We are gonna go into the final category of this podcast, this episode. I think Katie's. I think you're a little excited about this one, huh?
Absolutely. Always.
I don't know if I'm excited. I mean, I'll go and watch horror movies. I'll go and watch scary movies, suspenseful movies, all that stuff. But you don't want to be sitting next to me.
Are you super jumpy?
I am super
Like
jumpy,
movies?
man. That is crazy.
I
I
feel like jump scares are cheap shots, though.
They are cheap shots, man. They are cheap shots. And the other thing too is, like, if something is very gruesome and all that stuff, that stays in my freaking mind. Like, I see it
Oh yeah.
everywhere. And and it's just something that I just don't like, but I'll still go and watch it. I don't know why.
I know it's definitely not a genre for everyone.
All right, well, let's go into the top 5 list. All right. I don't know. Did you get it ready? You got it prepared already?
Sure did.
You did? All right. So give me your top 5 best horror movies.
My number one horror movie, my favorite one, is Hereditary. Do I elaborate on these as I go, or do I just like straight up
Go
just
ahead and elaborate on it.
okay? Hereditary is like my favorite. It's an A24 film, which are my favorite. It's kind of like an independent film type of production, but Hereditary was my favorite just because it scared the shit out of me. Like it took me maybe like 2 weeks to recover. It was just really, really scary.
When you get scared in movies, is that like a good adrenaline rush for you, or
It is. That's perfect. It's an adrenaline rush. Yeah, it's like similar to being on a roller coaster, but it's in your mind. It's a mind roller coaster. And it's even better when they don't use that many jump scares. It's like literally the plot that scares you or just the characters that are really good at playing their part.
okay, your number 2.
Number two would probably be Midsummer, another A24 film. It just has a lot of fucked up scenes, but the overall like story of it is just I don't know, it's so intriguing to me because also like the symbolism behind some of what is in there and just some of the parallels you can draw from and I guess that's just in general with any film that you watch.
So with A24 movies, these are not necessarily like out in like the
The big
yeah, the
theaters,
big theaters and stuff.
they are actually it's pretty popular.
I think most people are gonna be like me, where I don't know what that is. Like A24. I know you kind of tried to elaborate on it a little bit. Like, what exactly is the A24 film? So it's more like privatized filmmakers.
I think sorry,
No,
let
no,
me
no worries.
just okay, so it says it's an American independent entertainment company that specializes in film and television production as well as film distribution. I would say it's one of the more bigger indie platforms, especially as of recent, but they've got a lot of films that really make you think, and I think that's what I really really like. Or there's a lot of horror films that are like super lame,
Yeah,
but with these in particular, I like that they really make you think.
like
All the while being scared.
yeah, yeah, right, right. So it's do you not like those comedy horror movies where it's just stupid and funny?
I can't stand them. I'll only watch them if like I'm like super bored, which yeah.
So you're not gonna go watch the new Scream movie?
Oh my goodness. I was tempted to, but I don't think it's on my list. No.
I feel like when Scream first started coming out, I felt like it was kind of stupid, kind of dumb. But this new preview of this new one, supposedly the final one, it
Yeah.
actually looks scary. Like it looks like it's not as stupid, well, at least to me, as the first ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer for this one yet, but I thought the same too. I think it was like last year. They had a film, a Scream film that came out last year, and I watched it, and it was just as I thought it'd be, just goofy.
All right. Well, what's your number 3?
It's gonna be Conjuring, the first one. The second one's all right. The third one, what the hell, even? I think there's supposed to be the fourth one coming out this year, like later in the fall. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Hopefully, they redeem themselves from the third one because the third one was trash.
No, I didn't even bother because I heard a lot of people talking a lot of smack
Oh,
about it.
good. Smart
I
choice.
did like it. The first one, I did like the first one. I thought it was cool. The second
Yeah.
one, I was okay with it. Third one, I didn't want to bother watching, and then but I saw the previews for the fourth one. This new one coming out, I thought it was good.
Oh my gosh, has the preview come out
I saw
already?
a preview. I don't know
Ooh.
if it's like the official. I think it was just
Oh,
it was one of
just a
those.
teaser.
Yeah, it was just those teasers that, like, you know how YouTubers are. So they were talking about what could possibly happen, this and that, based off of this information. Da 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 da. So
Oh man, I
I'm
guess I'm
very
not
into like YouTube, man.
fair. There's a lot of good stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. Conjuring though, great movie. Number 4, right? Yeah, number 4.
Number four is gonna probably be Insidious. I think that's when I really started getting into horror movies was Insidious. So back in my high school days. And to me, it just seemed a little more innocent. Like they're not that scary, but they seem innocent enough.
I thought Insidious was a good series. They had 4, right? Or 3?
Yeah, they did
4?
for.
I think I missed one of them. Oh, you know what? I think I missed the last 2 because then I didn't want to go watch
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Man, are you like So I don't even know if my wife likes scary movies. You know what? She wants to go watch it because she wants to watch me get scared. That's the only reason why she wants to watch scary movies. Cause
That's cute.
I don't know. I don't know if you're like her. She laughs every time there's a jump scare. I'm like, how are you laughing at this? What the heck?
Oh my goodness. My old boss's wife is just like that. She'll it's literally a killing scene and she's just laughing. That's what my boss says all the time. He's like, "Yeah, she was just that's not me. I definitely not." Although I did have a friend who would just freak out over every single jump scare and it got to the point where this was like back when you couldn't pick your movie seats, but we sat next to these dudes and she was just jumping all over the dudes. I felt so bad for them, but yeah, it was interesting.
Those guys didn't move or anything, or he was like, "Yeah,
No,
come here,
no,
I
they
got you."
probably they definitely didn't do that. They're probably like low-key annoyed. I don't know. She's very out there as a person. So imagine her being scared in the theater.
Like I've gotten kind of used to it to where like I'm like predicting. I'm like, I think there's a scare scene right here. I'm getting ready.
Yeah. Or
Then
you like plug your ears. I do that all the time.
I don't plug my
Kind of
ears.
helps.
Really?
It kind of helps.
I just the one thing that I don't like about getting jump scared is people making fun of me, and I'm like, that was a scary moment. Geez, stop making fun of me. They're like, but you like almost fell out your seat. I'm like, so watch the movie.
The scariest ones is when it like lingers with you afterwards.
Oh
After you watch
man,
the movie, you're like,
especially when it's like something that has to do with, I don't know, somebody walking in the middle of the night with, no lights on, or the street lights would turn off. And one time I was driving home after the movie and the freaking street light turned off. I'm like, bro,
oh
dude. I was
jeez,
like, don't do this to me right now.
I can't.
Bro, it's just, I was like, bro, that is not a coincidence, bro. And I
I
started just
know.
looking around, man. I was like,
You start like reading into everything. It's terrible.
but you like that. I don't like
To
it.
an extent. To an extent. There's times where I'm just like, Katie, what are you doing? Like times where I watch scary stuff and I'm like, Mom,
I feel
help
that.
me out. Help me out here.
I feel that. It's gotten to the point where I would have dreams sometimes, but before it was bad, but now it's like once in a while. It would be like dreams as if, whatever scene it was, like I was in that scene, or I seen like a loved
Oh
one in that
wow.
scene.
That's creepy. I've never dealt with I've had some pretty weird dreams, but oof, never that.
Yeah, and
And
that plays a
so
part
creepy.
into why I
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would not put myself through a horror movie if I've had traumatic events in the past that have happened to me, and
well,
that's fair.
at least I didn't spill my popcorn because of jump scare. Like some people, they'll be like, "Whoa," you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you haven't done that?
No, I would, like, whenever I get jump scared, like it's just a like super fast flinch, like a big one, like that's it, or you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's not
okay.
like
Subtle.
ah, you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Well, that's good. Yeah, not everyone reacts that way, I guess. Not in a subtle way.
Yeah. All right. So your final number 5.
Number 5, man. This would have to be Children of the Corn. This is an old one, but it was just creepy because, these kids are killing adults. This is,
Exactly.
yeah, and they were in a cult. So, what's scarier than a cult? Like, oh, scary.
And they made the kids look scary as fuck. Like
Hell yeah, they did. Yeah, it was
I think that's the worst though. Like seeing adults be scary and all that stuff, I feel like it's the norm. But if you see kids, oh man.
Exactly.
Scariest thing, especially like when I don't even know if this is like a horror. I think Walking Dead. Do you consider that as a horror?
uh sure.
I
They could be
guess.
categorized as it.
Yeah. But when in The Walking Dead or even the show that I'm watching now, The Last of Us, or any apocalyptic or zombie movies,
Mm.
when I see kids turn into zombies and they're like freaking going on "Rawr," all that stuff, like I am actually scared. And then like
Yeah,
it makes me when I see kids in real life, I just like see that I'm like, "Damn," like imagine if
I
this kid just
know.
turned into a zombie.
First you're heartbroken, then you're just like, whoa, you're
Yeah.
like disturbed.
And they're like they're like the hardest one to kill in the movie because they're super fast and they're agile and all that stuff. And
It's insane.
as much as I don't like scary movies, I mentioned I do still go and watch them. So one of my favorite scary movies or horror movies is The Exorcist of Emily Rose.
Oh my goodness, that one is legit scary.
That
I
is
can't watch
legit.
that alone at
You
all.
can, especially for me. Like I'm very, I grew up Catholic and all that stuff. So like with all the
Oh,
freaking, you know, it's a freaking exorcism. Really, that's what back in the days. That's what Christians, Catholics, and other religions did. They performed exorcisms, right?
so it's personal.
It was
Yeah.
personal, so that's what made it more scary and stuff. You know what I mean?
That's how they get you.
Yeah. And the creepiest part was when she started like doing the counting and all that stuff, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bro, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was counting the 15. I think it was 15 demons that was living in her. That's why she was counting.
That's insane. Yeah.
Bro,
That's a good one. I
that was
forgot
a good
about
one.
that one.
And then the other thing too that like I would picture people in real life when I'm walking, like when she tried to run away and then she would walk down the street and try to run in the rain, and you see she passes by this old couple and their face just like opens up. You remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah,
part.
so
That's
like
one
when
of the
when I
scariest
would
parts.
yeah, exactly. So when I would go in real life, I would just like picture people's faces like that.
See, this is why horror movies are so bad. They start distorting your view of life. I'm just
Exactly.
kidding.
That's
No,
why
no, no.
go ahead. Go ahead.
My sisters found it so funny because that's the same girl. That's Tina the Talking Tummy on White Chicks, right? So we were like, we had a hard time taking it seriously because we still had that view of her being on White Chicks. So that made me kind of like, when you start looking for like little loopholes and how to view scary movies, you're like, oh yeah, it's not that scary. That's literally Tina the Talking Tummy girl.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I always find it hard. I always find it hard. Like, I get it. You're an actor or actress, and you want to get into different more movies to broaden your resume or whatever. Maybe try and like if you're gonna go with scary movies or be a character in the scary movie, like maybe do multiple. Have a good resume on just scary movies, and then if you want to change careers, then okay, now go into all these other comedy films and this and that. And then when you done with comedy, okay, go to a lot of romantic films. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just ease into it. Don't just do a jump scare.
Don't just don't be a little ditzy character in this fully comedy movie, and then you go straight into being the main character of this most like horrific movie ever.
And then expect us to be sold on. Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah, I mean she did a great job. Like
You
she
did.
was a good job in acting the part of the Exorcist of Emily Rose. Man, it was good.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. There's Katie's top 5 horror movies. If you guys hadn't watched it already, I'll try to find the links to those movies or whatever, and then I'll have them linked down below. I also, as we start to land this plane of this podcast, I'll also link her podcast to her Spotify down below. Go ahead and check it out. Rate her show if you guys would like to. Also, leave some feedback because any feedback is good feedback. It don't matter if it's bad feedback or constructive or good feedback or tooting our flute feedback. Every feedback is good, and I'm sure Katie, you would appreciate it if people would listen to your podcast and give their thoughts on how they felt about your podcast because I enjoy it.
Yep.
Before we head off with Katie's final words, I just want to shout out to the millions of people watching this podcast. The millions, and I got that from The Rock because how back when he was wrestling, he was like the millions.
Oh yeah.
But no, yeah, shout out to you guys for stopping by and watching this podcast or listening. I really do appreciate you guys. Every support goes a long way. We will be bringing on another guest for next episode and for future episodes. So once again, a new episode is dropped every Wednesday. I try to drop it around 8 o'clock in the morning at Arizona time. This past week I had some troubles with some internet issues, and so I posted it later in the day. But yeah, every Wednesdays, you guys can check out the YouTube page. There's a lot of shorts on different small little clips of the actual episode. So go ahead and check those out if you guys don't have time to watch the whole hour and a half or whole hour or however long the podcast is. But any feedback is much appreciated. Thank you guys so much again for being here. Without further ado, Katie, do you have one advice that you try to live by that you want people to know?
Yes, it's probably love people and use things, because the opposite is not true. It's from one of my favorite podcasters. They're called the Minimalists, and basically their kind of motto is to be purposeful and intentional with every bit of your life, whether that's in your relationships or what's on your social media. So I think that it's a really good thing to live by. Just love people and use things. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Can you because I think you cut out a little bit. Can you say the actual quote again? Just a quote.
Love people and use things, because the opposite never works.
Sounds good. Well, that is the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again. I can't thank you guys. I gotta always thank you guys, because you guys, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you listeners, you watchers, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the guests that I have on the podcast. And I appreciate you, Katie, for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much again, taking the time out every day to be on this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Starr. I did.
That's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'll catch you guys on the next one, and we out. Welcome to the Deep Podcast.